I should just give a heads up that I'm approaching this from the perspective of fan studies and fan-generated media more so than from the perspective of gaming. But so what we'll be seeing are videos that have been produced by fans. And the other thing is, the elephant in the room, so to speak, is Michael Austin, who wrote an article 2 or 3 years ago about Machinima, but this was a different body of Machinima that he's dealing with. But when I say Michael, I mean Michael Austin, so you'll know. I mean, it seems disingenuous to call him Austin when he's here. So, I don't know, it's just a technical question. Fan studies has enjoyed the status of an academic field at least since 1992, when Henry Jenkins published his book, Textual Poachers, Television Fans and Participatory Culture. It stands to reason that amid this flurry of activity, Jenkins' seminal concept of participatory culture would embrace practices surrounding video games, so that already in 1998 he co-edited with Justine Castle the anthology From Barbie to Mortal Kombat, Gender and Computer Games. Music would not enter into the discourse of video game fandom until considerably later, arguably with the publication of Jamie Sexton's 2007 anthology, Music, Sound, and Multimedia. In the meantime, however, and actually well before they attracted the attention of cultural theorists, fans were busy creating music videos that were based on games in their capacity as textual poachers, in the phrase that Jenkins adapted from the work of Michel de Certeau. This paper will explore the phenomenon of these fan-made videos by looking at one specific genre, the Machinima, that became prominent through its connections with one game in particular, World of Warcraft. We will observe how the game's release in late 2004 and the activation of YouTube in early 2005 represented a fortuitous transmedial convergence that could demonstrate and circulate fanish game knowledge, technological ability, and musical taste while entertaining fellow players. As Michael Austin has succinctly defined it, Machinima, a portmanteau of machine cinema, is a filmmaking practice that utilizes the assets of video game engines or other virtual worlds as source material, end quote. The most prominent features of Machinimas include edited clips from the game, whether of gameplay, characters, or levels, voiceover, and music. The practice of Machinima has multiple origins on both the game and video sides. Writing in the mid-2000s, digital media authorities like Michael Nietzsche and Henry Lowood attributed its roots to the gaming culture and hackers of the 1990s, while media specialist Louisa Stein, among others, traces Machinima's history back to the fan practice of vidding starting in the mid-1970s. Both perspectives seem to be correct, depending on whether the researcher approaches Machinima from a standpoint of game technology or video practice. Add to that the influence from MTV-style music videos, as suggested by Michael, and you have what Lisbeth Frölunda designates as a truly hybrid text. The prehistory of Machinimas illustrates their development into a World of Warcraft phenomenon. As already mentioned, the practice of fan editing of media has its origins in the 70s with VIDs, which the fan-based Organization for Transformative Works defines as, quote, fan-made music videos, that involve the recutting and remixing of footage from television shows or films, end quote. Might we say the same for Machinimas from 2 decades later, despite their differing values and histories? Stein thinks so, arguing that they both, quote, emerge from and value the interplay between creativity and limitation, so that creativity is spurred precisely by the limitations of an original, already existing source text. Both also function as products of a fan labor, that lies somewhere in the gray area between consumption of a mass-produced media product and the production of an entirely new media art object, as Michael explains. And Machinima historian and theorist Henry Lowood regards the practices of Machinima as those of game performance, featuring play as performance, modification of content, and community-based tools and content development. The age of game movies was launched with the founding of id Software in 1991, when graphics programmer John Carmack created a real-time replication demo for level 1 of Super Mario Bros. Called Dangerous Dave in copyright infringement. The release of Doom in 1993 brought video games and game movies to a new level, enabling modification, the so-called mods, and the creation of independently developed software tools, thereby promoting fan creativity and establishing a network of mod communities for discussion and distribution of creative production. The communities consisted of individuals and teams of players who banded together into semi-official clans, the best known of which was the Ranger clan. The Machinima community has traditionally regarded the release of Quake in mid-1996 from 1997 to arrive at another from that year. Sorry, I skipped ahead. Wait a minute. The Rangers, yeah, okay. The Rangers, the Machinima community, yeah, as the point of origin for their historical reflection. The id team provided users with considerable information and tools for modifying Quake, which represented a significant technological advance over Doom. Quake clans quickly formed, among them also the Rangers, the Quake Done Quick team, and the Clan Undead, each contributing to the early development of the Machinima, an important movie as well, which we will briefly consider in turn. The Rangers were responsible for what is called the first Machinima movie, created only months after commercial release. As argued in the literature about the Machinima, the Diary of a Camper set itself apart from its Doom and Quake-based predecessors through a spectator's rather than first shooter perspective and an artistic dimension that incorporated elements of plot and dialogue, thereby exceeding prior demo movies that merely presented recorded gameplay. The narrative is set during a team deathmatch game where a team of Rangers oppose an enemy camper, that is, someone occupying a strategic position. Here's the opening of the video. Sorry for the darkness. It's obviously Machinima was still in its infancy. For the audio, the editors could draw on game sounds, but the dialogue was presented in text fields and there was no music. Still, the Diary of a Camper demonstrates how computer gamers could virtuosically mobilize programming to create new fan-directed audio-visual text that may not have been impressive examples of either gaming or filmmaking, but of technical proficiency given the tools of the time. As Lowood argues, in this and other Machinimas, the Rangers transformed competitive play into theatrical play. For the sake of time, we must pass over the speed-running Quake movie, Quake Done Quick, from 1997, to arrive at another from that year, Operation Bay Shield, from 1997. It was the product of the undead clan, which borrowed heavily from the conventions of linear media in its narrative, such as in the parodying opening credits. And I think you know what they're what they're riffing off of there. I don't mean also the Strauss, but also the TV program. Significant for us was their adaptation of pre-recorded music as underscore and use of voiceovers for dialogue added in post-production.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's recently come to our attention that a catastrophe is about to occur on American soil. An elite group of terrorists has stolen an MMX chemical bomb, and our sources indicate they're planning on detonating it tomorrow. Here to brief you on this organization.
Here and throughout this video, the element of play is reduced in favor of filmic integrity. For the future growth and development of machinima as a popular art form, it was necessary for it to shift from the domain of elite programmer players to that of what computer researcher Tyler Pace and colleagues designated as expert amateurs. These fan producers often possessed solid skills. Their machinima activities encouraged by one, easy access to affordable tools, and two, the emergence of new sharing mechanisms. Of course, the release of immensely popular games like The Sims, Halo, and Second Life stimulated the increase of fanish engagement with these audiovisual texts, which resulted in the creation of machinimas and the formation of video sharing communities. And as Michael notes, Quake 3 Arena from 1999 considerably increased the popularity of machinima through the movie Quake God, which was disseminated on machinima.com and through PTP file sharing services. In the early 2000s, designers came to routinely provide readily accessible editing and recording tools for fans who could now incorporate a wide range of game assets, original voice acting, and significant for us, music. The most popular machinima from this period was the Halo-based movie series Red vs. Blue, debuted in 2003 as a short-form spoof. The series features extensive voiceover and diegetic sound and sparse music as scene transitions. This is episode 1, and there's only diegetic sounds of nature.
Why are we here? I mean, are we the product of some cosmic coincidence, or is there...
And I think you know how it continues then. I had to cut it for the sake of time, but the game most often identified with machinima, however, is World of Warcraft, well, arguably, an association that's not coincidental. The MMOPRG World of Warcraft was released on November 23, 2004, and the video sharing platform YouTube was activated on February 14, 2005. As Pace and colleagues argue, quote, a notable community has developed around World of Warcraft machinima as evidenced by its many contests, tutorials, curatorial efforts, legal tensions, and the open source development of software tools that specifically support the production of World of Warcraft machinima, end quote. When Michael investigates high-end machinimas, that display professional level editing and tie in with brands to create MTV style videos. My interest here is with the fan who does not possess advanced gaming or editing schools, rather, again in Michael's words, only direct a music video using the characters of the video game. Machinists can share their love for both a particular video game and recording by creating these videos, end quote. During the closed beta phase of World of Warcraft in the summer and fall of 2004, Blizzard provided game access to player machinists, including the gamer dubbed Junior X, who made the first widely circulated World of Warcraft movies. His creative work, like Dance Movie and Dance Movie 2, combined dance and other moves built into the game with a music track. And in this case, MC Hammer's song, 1990 song, Can't Touch This. Here's a bit of the opening. Gave away my secret, my surprise. Leroy.
You can't touch this. You can't touch this. You can't touch this.
You remember this? No.
You can't touch this. My music. So.
The synchronization of dance moves and music, the match of gestures and images, not only reflects fan skill, but demonstrate machinima techniques that became standard for World of Warcraft videos. It stands to reason that such movies would proliferate upon the game's open release and the establishment of a broad-based video sharing platform. The earliest of these machinimas, from what Pace and Associates designate as the classical phase, 2004 to 7, reflect their basis in fan culture, adopting the format of MTV music videos, but featuring game characters and or gameplay edited to synchronize with a complete song. Such fan creations relied upon the technically limited editing tools available through the game's early versions, which resulted in basic production values, including low-resolution images and lo-fi audio. However, the World of Warcraft machinima community actually valued these authentic, non-professional displays of fan creativity, favoring the most popular with millions of views on YouTube. For example, 500 Miles has received 1.5 million views to date, and Leroy Jenkins almost 47 million views, although the latter does not involve music. The music itself tends to consist of songs that are well known, also drawing on nostalgia, and that lyrically match the simple narrative visually constructed from game characters and their moves. The songs acquire new meanings through their association with World of Warcraft characters and stories, often interpreted ironically or humorously, and thus demonstrating fan in-the-knownness. Through their machinima music videos, amateur producers could reveal game knowledge, technological ability, and musical taste while entertaining the community of fellow gamers. Let me close by considering 3 diverse early music video machinimas from or based on World of Warcraft. Uploaded on March 8, 2005 by fan creator Java, 500 Miles was the first World of Warcraft machinima to achieve 1 million views. It sets the Proclaimers' 1988 enormously popular song, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, as File Planet, in the words of File Planet, a cute love story starring 2 happy trolls.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I heaver, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who's heavering to you. But I will walk by.
The irony here is that the trolls were typically savage races, foreign to the concept of tenderness as depicted here. Commentators on YouTube note how the video motivated them to play the game and to buy the song, thereby illustrating intermedial circulation within participatory culture. The Machinima music video, A Hero's Love, appears to have been posted on YouTube even earlier in January of 2005, created by fan producer Balgosa Windspire, who had been making World of Warcraft Machinima since early 2004, possibly in connection with the World of Warfare prototypes. His prior work is not to be found. This semi-popular video, only 243,000 views, uses the well-known song Hero by Nickelback, which was written for Spider-Man of 2002, and so a recent release that would still have been in wide circulation. Unlike the film's music video, Windspire's Machinima tells the sad tale of a hero who has lost his beloved and who attempts to overcome the grief by performing valiant deeds. Yeah, this one, here we go.
So high, I can hear heaven. I am so high, I can hear heaven. Oh, but heaven, no heaven down in me. And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait.
Here the fan editor does not attempt to synchronize the visual narrative and the song lyrics one-on-one, but rather links the affect of both. Finally, Cops. Dating from April 2006, the video dubbed Cops Guards is by gamer Ian Beckman with 530,000 views. It is a popular parody of the television show Cops, but set in the world of Warcraft. He took the program's theme song Bad Boys, which is a 1987 hit by the Jamaican reggae band Inner Circle, and turned it into a tribute to the guards who protect Stormwind City, the largest human habitation on Azeroth. The visuals are edited to the song's tempo and phrasing, while the scenes reflect the lyrics, whereby the editor demonstrates not only knowledge of the game and technological expertise, but also a musical skill. So.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John don't come for you? Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do? Yeah, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
And you could see then how the visual editing then matches the musical phrasing. Yeah, and thus we could designate Cops as a tribute to the creativity of World of Warfare Machinima music video fan editors, as far as I'm familiar with their production. No scholar has attempted to, so in conclusion, no scholar has attempted to categorize or even count the World of Warfare Machinimas, so extensive is the corpus and so elusive and ephemeral these products of fan engagement. While I agree with Michael that we need to explore Machinimas further at their juncture of materiality and textuality, I even more wholeheartedly endorse his inquiry regarding, quote, what drives the fan culture to devote so much time and effort in order to participate, end quote. Because without such fan activity, the worlds of video games would be all the more impoverished. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have several minutes for questions. Wherever the box has happened to end up, feel free to pass that around.
Well, actually, I've thought of a question. It seems music videos in the past couple years have started flip-flopping this. My immediate thought goes to Maroon 5's new one that has like Pokemon Go kind of characters. They're in weird suits, but it's supposed to be a riff on Pokemon Go. So I guess what can you say about it going the other way? Bands making high production value music videos, riffing on video games or video game styled things.
Well, that certainly has been part of the scene, and as Michael Austin showed, there were several artists who fairly early on linked to the World of Warcraft, and just in general have linked to gaming, and so I definitely see that as well. I guess you could call it transmedial tie-ins and also promotion, to the extent that some of the music then may well find its way into the game itself, or there's kind of a bit of a fluidity. So yes, I see that definitely. That's a good question. Or comment, definitely a connection between, the artists. I don't know, did you want to say anything more to that, Michael, since you kind of...
I mean, there are a lot of, hip-hop especially.
Not to put you on the spot, I mean...
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, when I looked into it, there have been a lot, as you say, especially since like 2010 or so. And a lot of hip-hop artists, are interested in doing like the 8-bit thing or incorporating, 8-bit graphics into their music videos. Sort of the point, even Bjork, when her Biophilia came out not too long ago, it was meant to be like the music video is a game in and of itself. That, there's sort of a wide range of just having, images from video games in your video to having a video that is a game.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yes, Ryan.
I've got a quick question for you about what counts, and maybe the answer is the line is unimportant, and if that's the argument, that's fine. But what counts as machinima versus what counts as an entertaining stream of a game? The Leroy Jenkins clip, for instance, seems to blur that line. Similarly, the second most famous in my mind World of Warcraft video is there was an in-game funeral held for a player who had, in real life, he had passed away of cancer, and they held this in-game funeral for this player at this neutral ground site. And this opposing guild came and, in-game, murdered everyone who came to the funeral, and then recorded it and set that to a music video and posted it to the internet.
Dick move.
Yes, in fact, it's... In terms of its connection to the real world events, it's profoundly disturbing. In its connection to what would the Horde do to an Alliance funeral, it's profoundly in-game connected to the lore. It's a really complex thing to process and think about in the context of a large-scale MMORPG. But the question is that a work of machinima? Is Leroy Jenkins a work of machinima? Or is that a captured live stream that's then set to mute? Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah, and I do think that the line has been blurred, and the term is used now fairly loosely for music that would accompany a video from a game, so that whether it's captured or, one way or another, I think the term has now broadened. I'm not even, it's not meaningless, but it certainly has broadened out to include a variety of practices, including the stream that you're talking about. And so that's, of course, another topic for further exploration, is just what exactly is machinima. And one reason why I went back was that for those who have done research, the earlier ones may be a bit easier to define or to identify as a group than what has occurred in the meantime.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
All right, and thank you. I'm going to throw all the way across here.
Ooh, ouch.
I'm not looking to fall on anyone today, though. Hey, so I sort of have a what counts question on the other end of the scale. More recently, knowledge of the games remains necessary to make machinima.
Right.
But, unlike these early World of Warcraft videos and Doom and Quake, those are all almost always taken from within the engine.
Right.
And the job of the hacker is to make it seem like that maybe isn't the case. You know, such as in Quake, maybe repositioning the spectator camera or something.
Yeah.
More recently, though, I've been seeing machinima made by just ripping the models out of the game and then posing them in Maya, or you know, your tool of choice. An example here would be Super Hot Destiny, if anyone's seen that one. That was made here in town. But no interaction with the game is necessary any longer. And so I'm wondering, at what point does it just become a movie using video game assets versus machinima? If you never need to use the game to create it, you still need to understand what the characters you're showing mean and represent to players. But you're not engaging with the sort of the game as shipped anymore. Is that machinima? Is it not? And more importantly, I guess, what do we gain or lose by going to that method of production?
Yeah, I mean, I think what it reflects is just the diversity of fan activity and fan production, which will constantly progress and, as you say, in this case, taking characters and using them for totally different purposes. I would think, though, at least according to the traditional definitions of machinima, these are called machinima then? By their creators?
You know, I don't want to claim that that's true, actually. Good question.
So, but because usually in the classical sense of machinima, it does involve some element of play and the game itself, and so and using assets within a context that also other fans would recognize. You know, it sounds like in that case the individual or the producer has kind of overwhelmed the game element, and it's lost that gameplay-based, you know, character, and also the amateur, the expert amateur or whatever status that prevailed in the early days of machinima.